Ooh, I gotta say, I am a little nervous about this. It took me a little too long to push the mouse button. I don't know why. I guess maybe, I don't know, we're starting a new book. That's cool. I should stick that like right here. Because that's what we're reading. It's a good book so far. I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot. Um, It's a little different than the Bible, a little different than Genesis. It's about a brief history of humankind. Um, it's by, I'm going to assume, Yuval Noah Harari. Uh, he's a historian, and he has a, what is this? I think it's a New York Times bestseller. It's gotten a lot of good reviews. I've also seen some criticism of it. But, it really is just his opinion about what he thinks happened 1,000,000 years ago. That's pretty, that's a long time. Lot longer than what the Bible says anyway. That's the, but I'm starting to realize that, I always had a situation. I don't know. It's one of my biggest questions is. Let me get this drink. I'm so thirsty. I apologize, guys. One of the biggest things that I think about is like how religion and evolution play into each other. I guess I don't know. I believe in evolution more than anything, and I like to. I don't know. I just lean that way more towards the Genesis story, and I realize that doesn't have to. It's not. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to take. You shouldn't. Not only do you not have to, and this is my opinion, and take it for what it is. I mean, I'm not trying to be, judgmental or anything like that, but I don't think that you should take Genesis completely literal. That doesn't mean that you still can't believe in Jesus and you still can't believe in God. It's just that that story, it's a beautiful story about creation, but I think it's just what it is a story that we've made up, and that's kind of what we're going to get into in the book, in Sapiens a little bit, because a lot of the things that we probably one of the reasons why we thrive as a society and as a species is because we make up these stories, and these stories bring us all together, and we can do something for the greater good with millions and millions of people rather than 150 people in a tribe. So yeah. What's going on? Before we get into the book, maybe just kind of talk about me for a minute. It's the number one thing that I like to talk about. Kidding. I don't know. See, if you was to ask me how I was doing, I would say last week was pretty good. This week has been tough. I guess it's because I have these doctor's visits every 6 months, and I always just get completely paranoid about something on my body or something. Usually it's my heart. I hate to say it, but my blood pressure is not great, and my cholesterol is not great, and my blood is thick, and a bunch of stupid stuff. My body runs hot, basically. That's what my dad says anyway. And I don't know. Sometimes it stresses me out. As a hairstylist, I work my body like this all the time, and of course, I don't hurt something in my body that doing this for a prolonged period of time would kind of suddenly take a toll. That's got to be like a heart attack or something like that, or it's got to be something wrong with my heart. But that's what I stress about all the time. I don't know. I'm going to therapy. I'm going to start that back up. I haven't been to therapy. I was texting my therapist actually, and I saw that it said February of 2000 and I think it was 4, which is nuts. What year are we in? I don't even know what year we're in right now, guys. That's crazy. It's 2025. It's been busy. Life's been busy. Stressed about this. I honestly am really stressed about the SNAP program. Like, I hate that people might have to suffer during Christmas and Thanksgiving. That's crazy. I don't like that. And you shouldn't like that either. There's a lot of things going on in this world where we just should not like. Things are getting rough. Things are getting tough. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's just my paranoia and me stressing out about dumb shit. But I don't know. So yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell. If you was to ask me how it was, I'd probably say 5 is average. I was about a 3.8, honestly. It's tough. What else? Let's see. I went to my friend's house, my friend Evan, and hung out with him today after the doctor's visit. That actually, it's funny. I was telling him too that it's funny how, like, when you're not really when you're hanging out and not stressing constantly and have something on your mind and just doing something that you want to do, and it's crazy how those things just kind of go away. And really, honestly, I think all of the things that I have going on in my body is probably just anxiety. So yeah. Let's see. I see 4 viewers online, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I think last week was tough. I don't think I gained. I think I had 0, which obviously, I mean, I don't even know. It's crazy that that I honestly think that this is wild that this is going on. I think it's the dorkiest thing that I could possibly do, and why would anybody want to watch this? So what dropped off. Oh well, it doesn't matter. I want to get away from looking at the viewers and stuff like that. I feel like I focus on it way too much. It throws me off guard, and I don't know. I don't know how I want to do this. I don't know if I just want to kind of record this and just start sticking it on YouTube, and because I don't want to stress about it either. I just want to kind of just get it up there and throw it out. Anybody that, if you're listening for the first time, I started this because I wanted to get a better understanding of the things that I'm reading, and it's helped out a lot. I am retaining the information. I've got the slides. Hopefully I'm on the first one. I am on the first one. We'll do that for Sapiens too. Hopefully it's a little shorter. I think it's different doing this. It's going to be different doing this because I don't know. We're about to dig deep into the psyche right now, because I just feel like there is a weirdness about going over the Bible on the internet for somebody that, I don't know, I would imagine anybody would be like for somebody like me, but honestly, for somebody like me, like, I don't know who would have guessed a year ago that I would be reading this. And what's great about it, honestly, is how much I love the book. Like, it's funny because, as I'm reading this, we're going to church and stuff like that. And my wife is, I'll start quoting things that I see in the Bible, and she's like, and I don't know. It's not that we don't want to be, we're not trying to push anybody on anything. We like talking about it and stuff, but we don't want to push anybody towards anything, and we don't want anybody to I don't know, think that we're Bible thumpers, because We're not, but honestly, maybe I am. Like, for real, like, maybe I am. Like, I've been quoting it a lot lately. Like, I actually didn't even think about it. I wanted to start today's episode. I think it'd kind of be a good icebreaker since we're going into a book about freaking evolution, which is kind of a, controversial thing. But I lost my train of thought. Sorry, guys. I'm going to do that a lot for sure. I don't even remember what I was saying. Gosh. Yeah, I guess we can just let's start on the slides. We'll get into some stuff. Let's get on the slides, see what that thing says, and then we will talk from there. Hopefully I can switch back and forth from the main and the desktop. Don't worry, we are going to go back to the Bible. I don't even know if you know what's going on, but I wanted to start this with the Bible, and I actually sort of am getting a little burnt out. This isn't my second run through. This is my second start over anyway. This is my second time reading Genesis, and I'm also finishing the New Testament, which I'm almost done. I'm in Galatians. Oh, I remember what I wanted to say. We'll get back to that, hopefully, if I don't forget. But I'm on Galatians now, and I'm really just kind of getting a little burnt out. Like, I've been reading the Bible since January, and just doing a lot of just studying the crap out of it, and I don't know. I decided to. I actually asked Grok, which is Twitter, which X's Chat GPT. Basically, it's their chat bot, and asked it, what is a book that's parallel to and sort of different and challenges and contrasts the Book of Genesis, and Sapiens is what comes up next. Sapiens is what comes up. So I've actually been wanting to read this book even before I started anything, and I decided that we were going to start it. I don't want to go over I want to get into other books, and I want to change this up a little bit because, I don't know. I guess I'm just a little self-conscious about this whole thing. So, I don't know. Anyway. So, yeah, we are going to go back into the Bible. I just want to switch it up, get a couple books in that, do a couple weeks, and then we'll get back into it. We're going to do Exodus after Sapiens, and find a book after that does the same thing, which I think it was, it's called The Social Contract, I think. So I think it'd be cool to kind of go back and forth with, history and philosophy, and just make this, just kind of flesh this out to be like a whole, learning experience with all different osophies and ologies. So there we are. We're going to get started. And, yeah. So the book's called Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. We're going over part 1, which is the cognitive revolution, which this is the time when I guess we just, obviously when we became cognitive, clearly. Let's see. Let me go to the thing and click this. Overviews. Harari, which is the author, argues that Homo sapiens conquered the world not due to physical superiority, but because of unique cognitive abilities, especially imagined realities, myths, religions, nations, money, that enables large-scale cooperation. Chapter 1 through 4 lays the foundation, the rise of sapiens, the cognitive revolution 70,000 years ago, and the first major consequences. Agriculture is later in part 2. One of the things that please shut that door. Don't look at me, right? Shut it. My daughter just sits there and just stares right at me. It's awkward already looking into the camera. It's even more awkward with her just staring at me as she brushes her teeth. Anyway. Imagined realities. That's one of the things that I took from this book. And I'll try to explain it the best that I can as, like I'm trying to explain it to like my mom or my children or something. But all of the things around us is made up. You know what I'm saying? Like nations are made up. We made all of that stuff up. Religions, money is made up. And when I say religions, I don't mean that in like a. I'm not saying that it's made up. I'm not saying that religions are made up. I'm saying that we, as sapiens, as people, as a species, gave it a name. You know what I'm saying? Gave it a name, gave it a story. It's not like the Bible just dropped down onto the earth and that was God's word. Those words came from other people's words, and all of that stuff is made up. Money is made up. It's just green paper. That's all it is, and we give it back and forth to each other for things, and that's it. That's all. Nations, we draw these lines. These are imaginary lines that should not matter. And what I think about with that is that it makes loving somebody that much easier, because when you see those things as just imagined realities, you can see the togetherness. You know what I'm saying? You can see how all of us are a family, to be honest. I mean, really, if you think about it, just, all of you are my brothers and sisters. Anytime I talk to any man, I call them my brother. And I see the women as sisters, but I haven't got to the point where I can call women sisters yet. So, yeah. So yeah, there we go. That's one of the things that I got from the book. We'll go to the next one. A Brief Timeline of Humanity. Genesis, which I'm starting to realize that there are old Earth creationists, like a lot of young Earth creationist is somebody that believes the Earth is 6,000 to 10,000 years ago, and I guess that is a new concept that isn't. It's kind of a newer thing when it comes to Christianity, and it's pretty popular. I've read that 50% of churchgoers, 40 to 50% of churchgoers believe that the Earth was created 6,000 to 10,000 years ago. I just, there are also old Earth creationists as well, which you don't hear as much about, but they, they believe in evolution, and that Genesis is a story just telling that simply, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? A really complex. There we go. Yeah. Genesis is telling a really complex story simply. There's no way we could write that all in books. Well, I guess there is, because Sapiens is trying to do it. But so we'll go. Let's go over a brief timeline of what science thinks is happening. Which just like the Bible, this is all theory. We don't know. We're guessing here. Like you can tell, like when you're reading the book, they're guessing. That we don't know any of this, so it's just theories. But they have good evidence. I'll tell you what. There's something about talking for a really long time and not shutting up, and then taking a drink, and just how amazing that is. I'm going to be thirsty, and I do not have enough. I tried to make some lavender honey tea that my wife got me completely hooked on at nighttime, which I've only had it one time. I tried to make it. I've only made it one time. I messed it up making it today, of course. So, anyway, brief timeline of humanity. 2.5 million years ago, Genus Homo appears. Listen, we're going to say that, and I'm going to need you guys to be on your best behavior, all right? I don't want to hear it. Don't say it. I know it's there. I know some of you. I don't care what you 2.5 million years ago, genus Homo appears in also stone tools. 2 million years ago, Homo erectus, which is like a grandmother to our species, I guess, migrates out of Africa. 500,000 years ago, multiple human species coexist. Sapiens and Neanderthals. I've heard it one way, and the book says another. Denisovans. I've heard Denisovans, etc. 70,000 years ago, cognitive revolution begins in Africa. 13,000 years ago, Homo sapiens is the last human species standing, and 12,000 years ago, agricultural revolution starts, part 2. Which that's actually the second part of this. What we'll go over next week is the agricultural revolution. And they say that happened 12,000 years ago, and I don't know. I'm getting some kind of weird little. I'm getting some wild connection with that and agriculture and stuff with the Bible. I'm trying to picture what that would look like. Let's just keep going. Well, actually, it'll probably tell us. It's the first 4 chapters of this book, which that's what we've read was the first 4. If anybody wants to read this book, you can find it free on the internet. There's a library. I wish I need to get the website so I can put it on here. But you can download books, and then you can stick it on your phone and put it in your books app and read it from there, which is nice. Yeah. I don't know how to, in a sense. Core concepts and key terms. Core concepts. History is something that very few people were doing while everyone else was plowing fields and carrying water buckets. I had to look up what that meant. Sorry, guys. Free on Hoopla. Nice. Thanks, Noah. Most of human history was made by ordinary people doing everyday jobs like farming and fetching water, while only a tiny handful of kings, generals, and scholars were the ones writing history in books. Key terms: foragers, which is hunter-gatherers, the default human lifestyle for 95% of history. Anthropocene, proposed geological epoch defined by human impact, foreshadowed here. I know that it's funny how whenever I'm making these keynotes that I read them out loud and I just sound. It's funny how it just sounds very robotic. So yeah, I had to look up what that quote meant, because most of human history was made by ordinary people doing everyday jobs. Basically, they hunted and I guess hung out together, basically, and we're trying to find out. Why does Harari... Let's see, study questions for 1 and 2, chapter 1. Did we not get the summary? Where's the summary at? Oh, no, I don't have the summary for this. That's sad. That's really sad. I'm going to look it up real quick, guys. Give me just a second, because I'm going to find it. I only have a second. It'll only take a second, I just got to see which one it is. Nope, that ain't it. Damn, guys. Technical difficulties. That sucks. I got it. Actually, I think we just went over that. Yeah, the key ideas. I guess that was it. Yeah. I guess that's what it showed me, and then I'll go to that. I'm kind of used to how it's summarized with the Bible. This is a little different. Study questions 1 and 2, chapter 1. Why does Harari call the extinction of other human species a specieside? And we'll go over that one first, and we'll go back and forth. Why does Harari call the extinction of other species a specieside? Because they were, because of the whole species, the other species, the Neanderthals, the Denisovans, and etc. They were completely wiped out as a species, and Sapiens are the one that came, who are what we are now. That's why we don't see them. Harari uses specieside to emphasize that Homo sapiens likely played a direct role in driving other human species, Neanderthals, Denisovans, Homo erectus, to extinction through competition, violence, or interbreeding and absorption, not natural causes. It was the first global domination by one species over its own kind. So over its own, the Homo, that kind. What made Homo sapiens different from the 6 other human species? I think that was the imagined realities, the cognitive abilities. Okay, especially flexible language and the capacity to create and believe in shared fictions, myths, gods, tribes. Physically, sapiens were not stronger or smarter individuals, but the cognitive revolution about 70,000 BCE gave them the ability to cooperate in large, flexible groups, which no other human species could match. There's so many different theories about how our cognitive abilities came to be. Because when we get into this book and all of the things that we see that they do, whenever they created fire, I used to think that whenever fire was created, and we honed that in, we just used it for campfires and cooking. But these people straight up just, so they could hunt better, they would just light a whole forest on fire on purpose so they could hunt it. And just, ever since the start, we've, just played a role in just destroying everything. I imagine however long this thing goes that we're doing here, I would like to get into other fringe theories about how, we've come together, because there are some pretty interesting cases. Let's see. Let's go back to the second question. Oh, yeah, we did. Physically, sapiens were not stronger or smarter individuals, but the cognitive revolution gave them the ability to cooperate in large, flexible groups, which no other human species could match. Chapter 2. The Tree of Knowledge. You guys, like I said, you guys are going to see what's the next one. The Day of the Life of Adam and Eve. It's cool that it's cool that it's doing that. Key ideas: 70,000 BCE, sapiens in East Africa undergo a genetic mutation, which is basically like a new brain wiring, and that gives them the ability to think imaginatively and talk about things that don't exist, which are fictions. And this is like fictions as in like Pinocchio, and just being able to tell stories in general, which they didn't come up with Pinocchio then. I don't know why Pinocchio was the one that came up at the top of my head, but like Dumbo, that's another Disney movie that just came in my head. Marvel, all this fiction, we started to come up with this, and that enables flexible, large-scale cooperation beyond 150 individuals. So we were able to The Neanderthals were much more, they were stronger and they were smarter than us, but they didn't have the ability to create such a large group of people. And from what he says, we got to do that with, our cognitive ability to be able to just to use our imaginations and and when we use our imaginations and we come up with things like a nation, our little tribe becomes a nation of a big tribe. So that's how we were able to do that, apparently. And again, this is way before Bible stuff. Like, we aren't even, thousands of years before Bible stuff could have happened. They had no language at this moment. They had mammoths and giant sloths, apparently. 3 major outcomes: conquest of the world. They went. Well, there you go. They were in Africa from They came out of Africa from 70,000 to 30,000 BCE. So yeah, we were in one spot at that time. Extinctions of megafauna, which, like I said, the mammoths and the giant sloths. Extinction and the replacement of other humans like Neanderthals. And this was around, like I said, 70,000 BCE, which is I looked it up today. I don't remember what it is, but it used to be before Christ. But I guess they wanted to make, everything more inclusive. Which that's already a crazy thing. It's so crazy that the whole world, I think, basically goes with the 2025 calendar, and that's AD, which is after death, or it used to be after death. Now it's what, ADE, I guess. I have no idea. But yeah, we use that for the calendar, and everybody uses that. That's definitely 1-0 for Christianity. Let's see. That's cool. The bear over here. That's what does that say? I can't read that little in ivory. Let's see. It's a statue of the lion man, which they found in a cave from. It says 32,000 years ago. The body is a human, but the head is leonine. I guess lion. This is one of the most indisputable examples of art, and probably of religion, of the ability of the human mind to imagine things that do not really exist. So apparently that's this is how we was able to mess up everything. Mess up all the other species, which, I don't know, crazy stuff. Core concepts. Fiction as a superpower. Large number of strangers. Core concepts and key terms. Core concept. Fiction as a superpower. Large numbers of strangers can cooperate successfully by believing in a common myth, which is like that's not Pidgeot. Pergeo, I think. Pergeo, I think. A company, which is a car company. Human rights. That's a common myth. That is a myth. Gods, and when they say gods, I mean we're talking all gods. We're not talking one god, which is much different than all the other gods. But and we're not God of everything, and that doesn't include Islam, and that doesn't include, because I kind of think it's the same one God. I just think they have it wrong. I just think that's their examples. But nations, yeah, all that stuff. That's how, I guess, larger numbers of strangers. Yeah, so a bigger group of people than the tribe that they had, which usually would be about 150 people in a tribe. Key terms: cognitive revolution. This is a period around 70,000 to 30,000 years ago, when Homo sapiens developed unique abilities for flexible language, the creation of fictions, and the ability to communicate about third parties. Imagined realities and intersubjective myths, shared beliefs, concepts. These are key terms. Imagined realities, which are shared beliefs, concepts, and stories that exist within a group's collective consciousness and hold power because people collectively agree to believe in them. It's just a jumble of words sometimes when I read. Shared beliefs, concepts, and stories that exist within a group's collective consciousness. Got it. So basically, these stories that we've all made up, we all have them, and we all have the same stories that we believe in, and that became basically a consciousness where we all are kind of connected together because of that story, and that makes us this tribe of people. Unfortunately, we can't get that around the whole world. That would be amazing, right? Gossip theories. Gossip theory, evolutionary theory that gossip helped early humans by encouraging cooperation and deterring selfish behavior. And a psychological theory that gossip stems from personal anxieties and low self-esteem. Language evolved to track social relationships and groups. 150 later enabled myths. Okay, yeah, so what the book was saying was that, and I'm going to do my best here, guys, and I apologize because I'm not a historian. I'm just reading these books. I'm just a hairstylist. Dumb man's book club over here. Let me read this again. Evolutionary gossip theory is that so yeah, they were basically, these people didn't get around together at the workplace and talk about like their jobs and stuff like that, or they weren't talking about hunting. They were talking about like the people that they could trust and the people that they could not trust. And once that gossip is spread around, you're able to weed out the bad and keep around the good, which helped these tribes thrive and to become bigger and create these stories of people, because some shysters, some people that were bad were creating stories that were not true, and that also got them together with the tribe. Gossip is what got them to be the larger number that they are, the larger number that they're not used to. Sheesh. Chapter 2, study questions 3, 4, and 5. How is Pidgeot both real, or Pergio, both real and imagined? It's imagined because we made it up. It's imagined because somebody came up with used his name actually and made a company, and that company becomes a thing, and it's got people working for it, and it pays taxes and all of that stuff. But I don't know, I'm terrible at explaining this. I tried to do my best, guys. Imagine I'm out of my comfort zone. So imagined. This is why it's imagined. Pergio is a legal fiction, a story told by lawyers, governments, and shareholders. It exists only because we collectively agree it does, like money and nations. All right, it's kind of explaining this a lot better than I am, and I was a little worried that I didn't put any of this stuff in there. So let's read that again so we can understand this, because it's pretty important. Pergio is a legal fiction which is told by lawyers, governments, and shareholders, which basically these lawyers have written up papers to say what this company is, and the government, they pay taxes to the governments, and all the shareholders get to make money from Pergio. But it only exists because we agree that it does. If we didn't buy it, it wouldn't exist. You know what I'm saying? It's real, and it's real though, because it has real world consequences. It has the factories, it has the cars, it has the job, it has profits, it has pollution. The myth organizes human behavior at scale. So the real is that it has a carbon footprint on the world. So that's what makes it both. That's what makes it both real and imagined. Why could 100 Neanderthals not cooperate as flexibly as 100 Sapiens? Neanderthals likely lacked complex language, which means they couldn't they couldn't speak to each other as well as Sapiens, which is us. Neanderthals likely lacked complex language capable of discussing abstract fictions. This tribe owns this river or obey the chief. Their cooperation was limited to personal relationships. 100 individuals max, which is the Dunbar's number. I'm not going to go into that. We'll go look that up. Dunbar's number. Sapiens could scale cooperation via shared myths, allowing thousands to work towards a common goal. So yeah, the shared myths is in if we will use religion because it's the best example that I can give at the moment. But we don't even have to do that. I don't want to do that. We'll do nations. Like, everybody comes together for the nation. So imagine this tribe that can only stay together for 150 people max, and then you have this other species that Now, just because of this map that's drawn, they can come up with, thousands and thousands. They have this collective thing that they want to fight for. So yeah, that's the reason why they could not beat the Neanderthals, even though they were stronger and smarter. What evidence suggests the cognitive revolution happened 70,000 years ago? Sudden cultural explosion in Africa, which were beads, art, tools, and regional styles. Rapid out of Africa migration begins 70,000 BCE, which is when we got out of Africa. Genetic mutation, likely in language-related genes. I have no idea what FOXP2 is. Behavioral modernity appears abruptly in the archaeological record. I don't know how they know any of this stuff. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I honestly am not happy with these slides this week, guys. I'm gonna try to do a little bit better on some of the summaries. I feel like I'm reading a bunch of bull. I'm just reading little dots. I need a better summary. I need something that I can read. I remember this stuff, but why would anybody want to listen to this? I have no idea. Oh, man. This is getting tough. Key ideas. Chapter 3, A Day in the Life of Adam and Eve. Key ideas. Foragers were the original affluent society. They worked 15 to 20 hours a week. They had a diverse, nutritious diet. Fewer diseases than farmers, which farmers is what we'll be going over in agriculture. More leisure and art and social bonds. That was the word that I was trying to get whenever I was thinking about how much better their lives were. Yeah, they had better social bonds. They were able to be with their families. That's such a hard thing that we have, that we are dealing with right now as a society today. Is how it's almost impossible to create social bonds with how insanely busy we all are. Everybody has to work. I would love for my wife to be able to stay at home all the time with my children. I would love to, which honestly, that's such a lie. I have such a great schedule. Usually for, I don't like that I'm not home Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but I do have a pretty good schedule. But most people that work 9 to 5, yeah, I am very fortunate. I am lucky to have that. But a lot of people that work 9 to 5, they are working 9 to 6 and 9 to 7, and these kids are coming home and getting off the bus and watching their iPads and playing video games and just being able to have to fend for themselves, and that's tough. Nobody's being able to be parents. Anyway, I'm not trying to get into that. Picture over here to the left is a painting. Apparently, hunter-gatherers made these handprints about 9,000 years ago in the hand caves in Argentina. It looks as if these long dead hands are reaching towards us from within the rocks. This is one of the most moving relics of the ancient forager world, but nobody knows what it means. Man, could you imagine, being in a little time machine and going and just watching this play out? I could not. Core concepts and key terms. Core concepts. The forager economy was the most successful and stable in history. The agricultural revolution was history's biggest fraud, which it goes when you go into here and you look at the original affluent society, which also another thing, whenever you look at what they did, they also had an egalitarian way of life where everybody has a role to play, everybody is equal, everybody took care of everybody. They were all a family. And then agriculture came along, and we had to work longer, and we didn't have as much time for all of the things that we wanted to do. And then, like it says, fewer diseases than farmers. Key terms: original affluent society, which I wanted to know what that was. A theory proposed by anthropologist Marshall Salins, suggesting that hunter-gatherer societies were affluent because they desired little and met those wants easily. Yeah. And then you get into agriculture, and now you're working and plowing fields all the time. Whenever you had it pretty good with all the hunting. But honestly, we probably would have just wiped out all the species like we did with all the big animals, and then we probably would have just died off too. So I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I agree with the book. Animism's the belief that souls or spirits inhabit all things, including animals, plants, rocks, water, and even inanimate objects like technology. The belief that souls or spirits inhabit all things, including animals, plants, rocks, water, and even inanimate objects like technology. I've never heard that word. Basically, it's just saying that, I don't know, it kind of makes those things that you prayed to, I guess. Like the trees and the clouds and the thunder and the lightning and all that stuff. Egalitarian forager bands, small nomadic groups with no formal hierarchy where members are considered equal. Decision making is based on consensus, and leadership is informal, relying on quality like skills or charisma rather than a formal position. Resources like food are shared equitably, and social control is maintained through customs and norms like sharing or sanctioning those who fail to cooperate. Study questions 6, 7, and 8, chapter 3. In what ways were foragers healthier and happier than farmers? Their work hours were less. They worked 15 to 20 hours a week. Diet, diverse and high protein. Health, fewer infections and diseases, and stronger bones. Leisure, they had time for art and stories and social time. Equality, which was an egalitarian, which they all shared resources, which is a very Christian. Wow, you know what? And there it is right there. Like that's the key right there, is Jesus wanted people to go back to an egalitarian lifestyle probably before it was too late. And I'm going to put that down in my phone because I got one viewer anyway. So, but yeah, here we are. And I'll tell you what. What's wrong, kitty? So let me put this in here real quick. I apologize. I'm going to write this again. Jesus was trying, and this is just my theory, to teach us to go back to an egalitarian lifestyle, which we had before, I would imagine, before the sin and before the flood, around the flood time. Jesus was trying to teach us to go back to an egalitarian lifestyle. Because that's how it should have been. But now Pandora's box is open, and there's absolutely no way that we could probably do this again. So it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. Wow. And I hate to be such a pessimist, but I honestly, recently, I do feel like it's very dystopic at the moment, and I guess that is, I don't know. I guess that's, well, it just is. I honestly believe that it is. I guess I am just pessimistic at 40 years old, but I don't know how you could be any other way, to be honest. I'm trying my best to be more positive, but at the moment it is really tough. So yeah, I'm glad that I came to that. I really would. I mean, you have this book, Sapiens, and it teaches you in the very first 4 chapters about how before the agricultural lifestyle, which, I mean, I'm sure that yeah, it just seems, and why wouldn't Jesus, everybody loves everybody? I mean, I guess it's just, it goes hand in hand with each other. Huh. I'm just sitting in it for a second. I'm sorry, guys. Well, there it is for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, I mean, I'm not saying like there's the connection for me for Genesis and Sapien. That was, we could go for 15 to 20 hours. Jesus was around a time where it wasn't too late to be able to go back to that. Now it's kind of a little too late, and we will probably destroy ourselves with technology, and we'll get there. But my cat's weird. But at that time, they probably could. They probably could go back to hunting and working 15 to 20 hours and having a better diet and have fewer infectious diseases and stronger bones and being able to do art and stories and social times and evolve that way rather than how we have now. Noah, that's going in the book. I don't know if you're listening, but yeah, that's going in the book. Number 3. No, we're on number 2. See, I know that I could do this by myself, and I'm sitting here like you're doing this. Sometimes my brain just sits there and tells me about how much I'm doing this. Why would I do this on video? Why would I post it on live? I guess really honestly, like to me, sometimes I'm sitting here being like, God, that's all you want. You just want attention. And that's not, I mean, part of it's true, but also, I told myself that I don't know. This holds me more accountable when I'm talking to nobody, I guess. But when I think that I could come up with an audience or something, I want to be held accountable. Dang, dude, I didn't even know you was here. I agree with you, but I believe humans are inherently selfish. According this book, it contradicts Homo sapiens. So it's an interesting concept. I'm not sure how to feel about it. I feel like you could go to tribes in Africa or random islands and find people groups that would fit the descriptions of the other Homo species. No, I'm sorry. I don't. You'd have to. We'd have to talk about that. You'll have to text me and and go over that, and we could talk about that and flesh that out a little bit. I'm glad that I have you here to, so we can. Because honestly, man, like, I'm gonna read this again, because I wanna hear what you're saying. I believe humans are inherently selfish. They are 100%. According to this book, it contradicts Homo sapiens. Yeah, I think we've became selfish because of how, I don't know, I guess I guess once we were able to tell these stories and once we were able to become these big groups and take over these Neanderthals, yeah, we were selfish. We were selfish by destroying these other species. We are, I think you're right. We are inherently selfish. We are, I mean, honestly, we are so capable of love, but as a group, we are so capable of hate as well. And after that, we didn't have anything to do but hate each other. And that's when sin started to come into play. And that's when, we had characters like Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and then Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ says, hey, we got to go back to a time where I feel like he was kind of just explaining an egalitarian lifestyle, which is what we were in the very beginning before agriculture. And we're not into agriculture yet, but apparently that's the biggest lie that was, that the human came up with to say that it was for the better, because it probably wasn't. According to this book, it contradicts Homo sapiens, that we aren't selfish. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it really is. You're right. It really is just his idea. I don't know. I mean, but honestly, though, you could look at it like you could look at modern, like uncontacted civilizations that are here now, and I think they're more of an egalitarian lifestyle where everybody kind of has their own part of it and everybody's equal. And I guess, and then, I mean, I think the Native Americans were the exact same way. And it's crazy because it would talk about, there's some books out there, which I don't know what these books are. I have to find it. But these Native Americans would capture these, English women, and I guess the English would find them, make a deal with the Indians to have them come back, but the women would want to go back to the Native Americans. They tried to sneak back to them, and also they lived an egalitarian lifestyle. It's a very primitive lifestyle, but it doesn't seem to be like this is working. And yes, hey brother, I understand, and I'm honestly thinking about you every time we talk about this. I'm thinking about a lot of people when I talk about this, and I honestly, that wasn't the plan. I don't like to. I want to be honest because I'm trying to be honest with myself. I'm not trying to be. I know you don't think. I know 100% you don't think that I'm trying to be insulting. So that's probably why I'm struggling even more to understand the concept the book is saying. Maybe about Native Americans and the current small tribes throughout the world, because they still had chiefs or tribe leaders. You're right, man. But I still think as a whole, they all kind of acted like a family rather than, the small little families that don't even know their neighbors. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think of it as everybody loved their neighbor type of situation, and everybody came together and shared resources. There were tribes, but they did all share resources together. And Jesus tries to teach the exact same thing. Love your neighbor. Give what you have to the needy, and everybody sort of shares. I was reading it. I don't remember, maybe Acts. They were talking about that, but I feel like it's the same thing. I guess I don't want to get. The only reason I don't think we should get really too into. I don't think we should be caught up too much into the young Earth creationism, and I still think that Jesus, and I'm not. Jesus had different ways of seeing the Bible than the Sadducees and the Pharisees saw them. And I'm not saying that what I'm saying is better or anything. Like, it's probably wrong, to be completely honest, but I'm just saying that that's the things that he was we shouldn't be caught up. We shouldn't be too focused on when the earth was created, and we shouldn't be too focused on Genesis, because that was the Old Testament, and there's a lot of things that they interpreted in the Old Testament that Jesus honestly flipped on its head. He didn't change it, but he did. It was kind of flipped on its head for some of the things, and that I don't want to say that it's wrong. I don't think it even matters, honestly. Noah says, I agree. I've told you before, I'm okay with people that believe in old earth as well as new earth. I don't think understanding one or the other is necessary to understand the need for Jesus and to believe in God. Right. I completely agree with you. And honestly, I don't think it matters. Exactly like you said. I don't think any of it matters. It's really just about it's about what Jesus wanted us to do, and it's crazy because for you, and that's how it goes. I mean, we're all going to have different opinions about it. This book is actually helping me come together with it, and for you it's trying to be a little harder, which I'm not trying to push you away from that. I'm not trying to push you away from, or anybody from, young earth creation. I do like to have the conversations about it. We have all of this stuff, and we hear about carbon dating, and I guess, I don't know, rings around trees and stuff. Me and Evan was talking about it. He knows more about that stuff than I did. But I just don't. I can't. I don't understand. I guess if anything, then I guess I am an old Earth creationist. I guess that's just what it is, which is okay. You're a young Earth creationist. I'm an old Earth creationist, and that's okay. But the main point is Jesus' teachings. And I feel like it's pretty egalitarian. It's very egalitarian, actually. Like, they all shared their stuff. They gave to the needy, and they loved their neighbors. And what did you say? Their chief and their tribe leader was Jesus. Their chief and their tribe leader was God and Jesus. So yeah. Yeah, for sure. I just think if God, who he says he is who he says he is, he can create things at any age he wanted them to be, if that makes sense. Yeah, 100%. I guess it's just I don't know, man. I guess it's just I need a little more evidence when it comes to things. I guess I don't know. It's hard for me to get past the man created from dirt and women created from the rib of a man. And it created, and they talk about, and that's another thing, like they talk about the word day in the Bible, which is yom, but that's also been used to go for a really long period of time. So really, I just think that it's a matter of how it got interpreted and how it kind of got lost in translation, which that's another thing. Like, that also makes it okay. Like, we did have the book. We did get a hold of the book, and it was translated different ways and stuff, and that's the sad part about it, is that we did get a hold of it, and we did get a hold of it, and it's made it to what it is today. I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, it's the biggest religion. It could have been wiped away if it was just written any other way. We could not have it at all because we would think that it would be ridiculous or something if it wasn't written how it is today. So thank goodness for that. Yeah, we'll have to talk about it more, Noah. I'd love to talk to you face to face about it. We need to get together soon. That's the first thing that's going to go in my journal, though. Like, this is my... Let's see. What did you say? You are a good bro. I was all for sure on Earth being millions of years old growing up. Listen, maybe. I just think once I came to faith, I had to accept the whole Bible as true and literal. Which, New Earth creation, I was looking it up today, and it is kind of a new concept. So, it is kind of a modern concept that came to be not too long ago. I don't remember when it was. Maybe I can look it up real quick and just... Because it's, why not? Maybe not. Let's see. New. It's got to be right there. Don't know. Too much. Yeah. It is a new concept. I'll send it to you if you're interested. I'm not trying to push anything, but I got my little green journal, dude. I haven't been able to write in it because I don't know what to write in it, but I'm going to put that little epiphany in there today and just kind of write on that and see where that goes from there. And maybe I'd like to see if anybody else smarter than me has that opinion. We're going to keep going. That was a good... I'm so glad that we've actually... that we had that conversation, that I had some type of epiphany, for me reading that. Study questions 6, 7, and 8. In what ways were foragers healthier and happier than early farmers? Did we even go? Let's see. We got that. Yep. In what way were foragers healthier and happier than early farmers? We did that. Okay, we are into that. So foragers, okay. Wheat. This is the agricultural part. This is the part where we kind of screwed up because we went to agriculture. Wheat required humans to settle, plow, weed, guard, and grind, a massive increase in labor and stress. Population exploded, but individual quality of life declined. Wheat spread because it was good for genes and calories, not human happiness. The plant used us to propagate itself, which basically wheat took over the human species to be able to spread it throughout the earth. And honestly, we kind of became a slave to it. I mean, yeah. But it didn't, it did not help our happiness. We were with our children less. We were not doing the things that we wanted to do more, like art and, all of that stuff, which, yeah. Jesus had an egalitarian point of view that also had some other good rules that probably could have been for that is for the better. When it comes to adultery, that could be like, I'm sure back in that time you did mess. These people were crazy. They messed around with. They all messed around with everybody. Like, that's one of the things. Like, I don't think that Jesus wanted an egalitarian lifestyle where everybody shared everybody, as in, you know what I mean. And they probably couldn't. That was probably one of the rules that human beings he knew that they would not agree upon. So, no adultery as well. He probably just had it's like I've been saying, it's a good guidebook. And when you have that much more, it's almost like you have more ammo for the argument. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have more, not even for the argument. That's such a terrible word. Not even for the argument. You have more ammo for the conversation. Because if you can make sense of books like this and find a huge, to me, that's a huge common ground with the Bible. If you can put this and put the Bible and put them together, that's exactly what I wanted to do with all of this. Like, I needed, like, that makes more sense to me whenever you can piece it together. I'm going to flesh that out more. I can't wait to kind of look into that more. Foragers, animistic, which maybe we can get to what that is, saw themselves as equal in nature. Spirits and animals, trees and rivers, no hierarchy over nature. That's a little bit different than what the Bible would say. Modern myths, anthropocentric. Humans are above nature. Like Genesis, subdue the earth. Religions and capitalism justify exploitation. I kind of want to go over this a little bit more and see what Grok has to say that's explained to you. Give me just a second. No. Oh, that's so much. We'll have to go over that. Let me see. Explain it in one paragraph. I should have done this. That's a long paragraph, Grok. The modern myth of anthropocentrism, rooted in interpretations of Genesis 1:26 through 28, commanding humans to subdue and exercise dominion over the earth, positions humanity as separate from and superior to nature, a worldwide view historically amplified by Judeo-Christian ethics and now supercharged by capitalism's imperative for endless growth and resource extraction. This narrative frames the planet as a stockpile of commodities rather than a living system, justifying ecological. So yeah, I mean, they're still playing hand in hand a little bit there. We don't have to get over that too much. There's not really. I will look into that for myself probably. Chapter 4, the last one, the flood. Key ideas. We went out from Africa. The out of Africa migration, 70,000 to 30,000 BCE. Sapiens reached Australia, and then wiped out all the megafauna on Australia. Yeah, it's not like they were perfect. That's another thing. I just think Jesus had a good. I mean, gosh, could you imagine? Like, he had no idea. Okay. Think about it like this too with Jesus. Like, even if he did want to, if that was the right way that he's saying, and I don't even think that this dude is a Christian, if that is the right way that he is saying to whenever we were working the 15 to 20 hours and we had more time to do things for ourselves and all of that stuff, it's not like Jesus had the internet to know what was, if Jesus was a regular man, he wouldn't know all of that stuff that was going 70,000 years to 30,000 years BCE because he wasn't around back then. I mean, that was thousands of years before he was around. Actually, it's actually 7,000 to 3,030 years before he was around. So it's not like he had any way to know any of this stuff. He, I don't know. I'm spitballing crap. Where are we at? Sapiens reach Australia. We eradicate all of the animals, all of the large animals there. We reach the Americas, Clovis culture. I don't know what that is. What is the Clovis culture? What? Briefly explain the Clovis culture. I guess that's the Native American. The Clovis culture was a Paleo-Indian archaeological culture in North America dating to approximately 13,000 to 12,000 years before present. Named after the town Clovis, New Mexico, where stone tools were first developed in 1929 alongside mammoth remains. It is renowned for its distinctive fluted projectile points. So that's where they made spears and scrapers and knives and stuff like that. And people were highly mobile, big game hunters, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. No, sorry, I'm being devil's advocate a bit here. Please, absolutely. You think you're being the devil's advocate here, brother? Come on, dude. I am being the devil's advocate 100%. Listen. Ugh. I'm on video right now. Well, according to the Bible, he would have been around, just not physically. Absolutely. You're 100% right. That's not playing devil's advocate at all. I completely agree. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's what would make him God, right? Yeah, that's not devil's advocate at all. It's very hard to spit the words out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's tough. I'm trying my best. I hope that I get better at it. I hope that I smarten up a little bit. Let's go back. Let's see. Ecological serial killer. Sapiens calls mass extinctions wherever they went. Again, like you said. What was the words that you said? You said, was it selfish? Inherently selfish. Yeah, dude, we didn't care about this stuff. We got rid of everything. Mass extinctions wherever they went. 2 theories for megafauna extinction: climate change, ice age cycles, and human overkill. Harari favors this with naive prey. We developed so fast that these animals had no way to catch up. You're doing great. There's no chance I'd be comfortable sitting in front of a camera trying to process out why I believe what I believe or determine what I even do believe. Yeah, man, it's wild. It's wild. I'm glad that nobody. I appreciate you understanding that because it is tough, but it's fun. I think this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted to flesh these ideas out for myself. It makes me happy, actually. It makes me really happy to be able to do this. Because I just really feel like I just never got a formal education growing up. I never had a formal upbringing. I never had a lot of things. Me or Christopher, we did not have formal upbringings or nothing in our lives were formal. And I guess now I'm just taking responsibility for that, and I'm taking ownership of that, and I'm going to do that, and maybe I can bring a couple people in it with me if they. Noah, God, I love that you're hanging out with me, brother. For real. Let's see. Core concepts, key evidence. Homo sapiens has been an ecological serial killer from the start. We are not in balance with nature, and we never were. Agreed. Key evidence. Australia's 23 to 24 megafauna species, 50,000 kilograms extinct within 10,000 years of humans' arrivals. So, yeah, we wiped out basically all of the animals in Australia. America, 34 of 47 genre extinct 14,000 years ago. So, we killed a lot of that in Americas as well. Chapters 4, the study questions. Why does Harari reject the peaceful forager myth? Let's just go ahead and get over these. Foragers were not inherently peaceful, but violence was small-scale, raids and feuds. The real damage was ecological. Sapiens were super predators who caused mass extinctions of megafauna wherever they went. The noble savage idea ignores the destructive impact. So yes, also selfish. We did not care about everything else that was going on. Agreed. What is the naive prey hypothesis? Megafauna evolved without human predators, so they had no fear of sapiens. This allowed small bands of hunters with basic tools to hunt them to extinction rapidly, like killing ducks in a pond. Do I only have 3? Oh, look at that. I didn't put the 4th one on there. Let's see. Nope. Oh, well, 3. Let's see if I can answer 3 by myself. Let's see. How does... Wait a second. Why did I see 3 on there? I'm an idiot. How does the Australian extinction timeline challenge the climate-only theories? I'm glad that wasn't the question that I was going to answer by myself. 23 of 24 megafauna species went extinct within 10,000 years of human arrival. Climate was stable during this period. No major ice age shift. Extinctions correlates with human arrival, not climate change. Let's just go ahead and wipe that out of... I don't even really... How does the Australian extinction timeline challenge climate-only theories? Basically, it was saying that these species were extinct during the time that humans also arrived at that spot. Climate was stable during this period. So yeah, there was no ice age shift. There was no ice age around the time that the humans arrived. So they know that there wasn't an ice age from that. Extinctions correlate with human arrival, not climate change. Okay, that's basically what I just said. Key quotes, we're done. Oof. We're done with this. I have got to find out better key slides. We did not domesticate wheat, it domesticated us. That's a key quote. Yeah, like, I understand what that means now after going back to, what was it? Yeah. Wheat required humans to settle, plow, weed, guard, and grind. A massive increase in labor and stress. Could you imagine, like, there's a lot of plants that do a lot of weird things. There's a lot of plants and there's a lot of fungus that do a lot of weird things to our body. Imagine if wheat was one of those other things that we just know nothing about, and they just made us our slaves to do their bidding, which is just spread across the earth forever and ever and ever. That's crazy. That's a late bedtime thing that I think about. That's funny. Like I was saying, though, completely understand. We kind of became a slave to wheat. I'd like to put that down in my little notes if you don't mind. The cognitive revolution gave us the ability to transmit information about things that do not exist, which helped us become the society that we are now. And, you know, we're one nation and all that stuff. And we draw these lines and people aren't allowed to come across. And now we fight. We don't fight other species now. We don't fight Neanderthals and Denisovans and Homo erectus. I think that's what the other one was. We fight ourselves now. We fight our own races because, again, Noah, like you said, selfishness. Yeah, selfishness and hate. We are so capable of love and so capable of hate at the same time. Speaking about love, I'm going to finish this stuff off. Or finish the key quotes. And I would like to read my favorite passage that I read from the New Testament that I just read the other day that is probably my favorite, which, and you know, it's probably a lot of people's favorite. Homo sapiens is an ecological serial killer. You can never commit. This is basically what the cognitive revolution boils itself up to be, and why Neanderthals just couldn't cut it. You could never convince a monkey to give you a banana, by promising him limitless bananas after death in monkey heaven. And you can do that with human beings. And that's how we thrived. Stories, myths. And again, I say myths because of companies, because of religions. I mean, I've always, when I started this journey and what got me into church and what got me reading the Bible is that I guess I'm more of a universalist when it comes to God, and I just think that there is one God, and he, in the other religions, there's one God, and it's probably the same one. We just have these different stories about it because we're selfish, we're hateful, we lie. I'm sure not everybody that got their hands on that book, maybe the original writers had good intentions, but everybody else after that probably did not have good intentions. So thank God we got what we got out of it with Jesus. That's sorry, by the way, if these comments throw you off. No, absolutely not, brother. Honestly, I actually did pretty good with this today. They seem to come in almost 40 seconds after I send them, so I guess that's how far. Yeah, it's pretty delayed. No, I actually felt like I did a pretty good job tonight with that. I feel like I am slowly, if you ever played an RPG game, I feel like I always kind of equate it to that, and I'm just slowly getting my experience points to where I can level up and kind of branch off. I hope I'll be able to branch off with these keynotes, because these will kind of crush your self-esteem a little bit. Let's see what else we got. I purposely did not do the answers for these discussions. Was the cognitive revolution a blessing or a curse for Homo sapiens? Was the cognitive revolution a blessing or a curse for Homo sapiens? I think that the cognitive revolution was fine. I guess it could be both, honestly. The blessing is that we got Jesus from it. That's exactly what popped up into my head. That was the first thing that popped into my head the blessing is that we got Jesus from it, and we got that message from it. The curse, because it's here, right? I mean, there's nothing we can do about it. All of this is here. The blessing is that our cognitive abilities gave us Jesus and gave us something to work towards, because, well, if we didn't have the cognitive revolution, we'd probably, I don't know, we wouldn't have evolved to be what we are today. What am I thinking about? Yes, it was a blessing for sure, because I wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be here, none of us would be here, and that's that. Yeah, it's a blessing. Our modern institutions, corporations, nations, religions, just imagine orders. Give examples. Yeah, 100%. I don't like lines drawn in the sand. I like the idea of being there for your neighbors and being there for your tribe, and sharing resources, and you if my neighbor needed something, it's his. If my friend needed something, it's his. I'm hoping, I would love to practice more and more of community, being a part of a community, and helping out my neighbors, and not worry so much about my money. And as long as my bills are paid, I do want to help people. I do want to do that. Also, I think the first thing I said about the snap, the whole SNAP situation, that's not good. That's not good, and we need to help. And I encourage everybody to. I will be encouraging because I would like to start maybe a little box of canned goods, and maybe my clients could come and drop some canned goods off at the salon, and we get that ball rolling, and make sure that people aren't going without this Thanksgiving and Christmas. We're going the wrong way. We're going the wrong way. None of that answered any of that. Our modern institutions just imagined orders. Yeah, we live on a big old rock that's just spinning in space, and when you look at it like that, there are no lines, and everything is just kind of imagined. Money's imagined. It's not real. Yeah. Amen, Mark. Mark 12:31. I love your Mark 12:31. Love your neighbor as yourself. Yeah. Why does Harari call the foragers the most successful humans? Do you agree? Do I agree that it was good to work 10 to 15 hours a day and be able to do your art and all that stuff? Yeah, but no, I mean, it's not something we could do now. We, a species of, what do we have? 6 billion people, 5 billion people. We wouldn't be, we would wipe out everything with as many people as we are. Yeah, I mean, it is a blessing that we became to what we were, because we would have wiped everything out. Should we blame Sapiens for megafauna's extinctions, or were they inevitable? Probably. We probably played a huge part, but it was probably also, there was other factors as well. Okay. I'm reading the New Testament. I finished both Corinthians, and I just want to leave on a note. I'll probably never forget it. I'll never forget the chapter. That's 1 Corinthians 13. If I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. It does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails, but where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part, but when completeness comes, what is in part disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put the ways of childhood behind me. For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror, then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. And now these three remain, faith, hope, and love, but the greatness of these is love. Boom. We're finished. We will do the agriculture next week, and we will talk more into that and hopefully flesh that out. No, I heard you. Let's see. I want to know what person decided that gold would be a physical element that would represent wealth and money. That's a good question, man. Hey, it could be aliens. That's what a lot of people say. I don't think it is, but Imagine if it was, Noah. That's the only thing that I don't boom, dude. Don't do it. Don't start it. I hope that boom was not that boom. No, that boom was not towards that. That'd be funny if the boom was, but it's not. It'd be funny if Noah was the conspiracy theorist that believed in the Anunnaki and it just. I. That's funny. It's not the boom. I can't be the boom. Yeah. Thanks, man. We'll have to look that up. We'll have to see. We'll have to find out. That's another thing that I want to know. Let's find the book and let's read it. Thank you. Please, if you are listening after this on Facebook, I do want to get my YouTube channel to at least 50 subscribers so I can go live on that. So if you do have a YouTube, please subscribe. It's Dumb Man's Book Club. That's all you have to do to type that in. God's Messengers. LOL. That's funny. No, I'll see you soon. I'm glad to talk to you, man. We haven't talked in a little bit. Next week I'm going to finish those 4 chapters on agriculture. What is it? I think it's, let's just make sure, just in case later on somebody's doing the same thing. Sorry, I'm not talking. This is not good for. Yes, here it is. Timeline, 4 weeks. Chapters. Okay, week 2, chapter 2. I don't know how it wants me to do it, guys. Part 1. No, that's not it. We're going to get to it. Okay, week 2, part 2. The Agricultural Revolution. Chapters 5 through 8. It's 80 pages. Content explores the agricultural revolution's impact, including domestication, societal hierarchies, and the concept of luxury traps, history's biggest fraud to building pyramids. Hey, it might get into the gold thing with Sapiens. Yeah, bro, text me sometime and we can grab coffee or whatever. Yeah, man, I hope so. I hope we can do that. Happy Halloween, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. Well, that's next. What am I doing? I'm actually talking like I'm talking to my clients. Happy Halloween, guys. Peace.